Hey there, hope all is well. Back at you today with some more RT News update. And as you tell today, I'm surrounded by a graph dealing with some emotions over my shoulder as well as some presidents down below. And the conversation is, what's your approval rating on how our country is being governed? And so I want to share with you some recent findings from the Gallup poll, which shows that 7 out of 10 Americans, for the most part, are quoted as being dissatisfied. But I bet that if they were given a chance to use a little bit more stronger language, borderline, pissed off, that'll probably be more appropriate for a lot of ways of how people are feeling these days with all this stuff happening globally surrounding our country and our government, and just the attack upon the administration, as well as just the whole Federal Reserve fiasco. And so I want to get your thoughts as well as share with you some statistics that show that, we are pretty much at all-time highs as far as a disapproval rating. And the question is, how much lower can it go, and how much more are people willing to take before they actually take action with their voting in the days ahead, as well as just taking action for themselves to remove themselves from this fiasco, however they are able to do so. But other than that, before we dive into that, as always, if you're new to RTD, I want to encourage you to click the subscribe button for more RTD News updates, as well as visit the RTD University page to get more information on what it means to rethinking the dollar and why it's something that you should consider right now at this point in time. So other than that, let's dive into today's news. Okay, so today I have just one article primarily that I'm going to focus on, but then also give you some of the actual statistics from the Gallup poll itself, and then also, get your thoughts on if you were given a chance to, share your approval rating and use different words to describe how you feel other than just using the words happy, sad, dissatisfied. Would you be able and wanting and willing to use the word pissed off if that was something that describes how you may be feeling surrounding all the things that's happening with our current governmental structure and how we're entangled in all the affairs of the world for the most part in defense of the Federal Reserve note. So other than that, let's dive into today's article. As always, I would love you to hear your thoughts on this, and also if you find this informative, please share this with your family and friends so they can begin understanding matters surrounding their own personal finances as well as our political structure. So let's dive into today's article. And this one here is from the WashingtonBlog.com. So a guy by the name of Eric Zusser kind of broke down some of the statistics himself and shared some highlights around them dealing with the time frames from different measurements. And so I want to just thumb through them briefly, but also the links will be below if you want to dive into it further for yourself. And so it says a Gallup poll published in September 17th. It says 7 in 10 dissatisfied with the way the U.S. is being governed, and reported that 71% say they were dissatisfied and 28% said they were satisfied with the U.S. government. It says at the height of Richard Nixon's Watergate scandal, when the question was asked during 21 and 24 of September in 73, it says until then, all-time low levels of satisfaction with the government was recorded. It says 26% is a good thing. It says compared with 28% who were satisfied. So 26% were satisfied back in 73. It says, but at that time, only 66 said they were outright dissatisfied, or probably really more realistically pissed off. So at that time, a larger percentage than now were on the fence about this question. Go down a little bit more. It says subsequently, the figure of only 26% who were satisfied wasn't reached until George W. Bush's presidency and the peak of the 2008 economic crash. It says when yet 26% were satisfied, but in that instance and until that time, it was a record high of 72 were dissatisfied around the whole fiasco that happened a decade ago. A few months of hope immediately following Barack Obama's election as president to replace by then widely despised Bush. Even lower levels of satisfaction were soon reached late in 2011. It was 19% satisfied and a full 81% were dissatisfied, which is a record. It says in late 2013, it was yet again 81% dissatisfied. Then scroll down a little bit more. It says Gallup's latest response on September 17 attributes the current high disapproval to Congress mainly. American assessment of the job Congress is doing is significantly related to changes in their views of how the nation is being governed, as would be expected. It says, however, the view could be a misrepresentation of reality if Americans have been becoming increasingly disillusioned with the condition of American democracy and been starting to doubt the trustfulness of the entire American establishment. So basically, I think this whole disapproval rating, kind of from what I'm reading from this, plays into the idea that a lot of Americans, for the most part, are waking up and no longer accepting the mainstream narrative. So alternative media sources have done a good job of covering different sides of a story where this probably plays into the fact that a lot of people are waking up to reality, and being that the mainstream media, tells you one side of the story, which favors keeping the mainstream narrative going. And so alternative media, I'm sure, plays a major part in how this disillusionment is, starting to dwindle and people are waking up. So here we go down a little bit more. It says on June 14th, the writer here headlined a article called Gallup Findings Stunning Decline in America's Respect for U.S. Government, and reported that the federal government scored the very lowest among 15 named U.S. businesses industry sector ratings, which covered business sector, education, banking, accounting, and farming. So just to go down and give you an idea, it says on July 27th, it says the military scored actually higher than any other listed institutions of the 17 of them. Then it gives you a little ranking here. It says confidence in institutions that he himself highlighted. It says the church or organized religion was 41%. It says Supreme Court was 40%. Congress was 12% as far as trusted bodies. It says organized labor, big business, the public schools 36%, the military was 72%. So next one, I wanted to actually go to the Gallup poll in of itself and give you some of the quotes and statistics directly. And so here it is as of this past Monday. It says 7 in 10 dissatisfied with the way the U.S. is being governed. And so it says Americans who are satisfied with the way the U.S. is governed in 2016 was 33%. And then a year later, it's 28%. So 5% drop within a year's time. And to give you some highlights here, it says 28% are satisfied with the nation's governance, down from 33%. It says satisfaction was at its high point at 59% in 2002. It says satisfaction with governance is related to Congress approval. So just give you some stats here. It says President Donald Trump vowed to drain the swamp in Washington if elected president, but so far, America's dissatisfaction with the way the nation is being governed shows no sign of easing. So it says, on the whole, would you say you are satisfied or dissatisfied with the way the nation is being governed when this question was presented? And so it says there, back in 1971, 54% were dissatisfied, and then 37% were satisfied. And then you fast forward, you kind of see how it was up and down, but it was yet somewhat stable as far as it being 50-50 around the early 80s all the way to early 2000. And so right at around 2001, give or take, after, as it says down here, after 9/11 happened, then that's when we went on a roller coaster ride of just crazy monetary policy, which spurred the housing bubble and stock market boom, then a bust. So all that, I'm sure, plays into the dissatisfaction or the American public being pissed off on how all this stuff tends to change. And then here we are now with, it says 71% and 28%. So during this time span here, we have listed below some of the presidents who kind of were in power or in a position of presidency at this time frame. And so everyone contributed, as you see here, to the dissatisfaction of the American public. And so to give you some more highlights here, it says Gallup has updated its measure annually since 2001 and 4 times between 1971 and 1991. Said at times a majority of Americans were satisfied with the nation's governance. Says in 1984, just after Ronald Reagan was swept back into office for the second term. 91, a few months after the success of Persian Gulf War. 2001, just before the 9/11 attacks. And then 2002, 2003. So other than that, I just wanted to bring some statistics to you on, the approval rating of how we're being governed. And then more importantly, wanted to kind of get your thoughts. Wanted to get your thoughts on, if you were given a chance, to share your approval rating or disapproval rating, what would it be? What words would you use to describe what you're feeling based upon all the things you're experiencing currently? Do you think Congress has everything under control, or are they completely divided, as it appears to be to myself? So I'll be interested in finding that out. Leave me a comment below with your thoughts, and use a word or two or whatever you feel is appropriate to leave in the comment section, and then elaborate on it a little bit and share with me what exactly makes you feel that way. What are some things that concern you that our representatives need to be addressed more of? So other than that, just want to shine some light on this Gallup poll here. Hope it was informative, bring you more news and interviews. Other than that, I want you to enjoy your day. Thanks.